On the night of Sunday the 29th of December 1940, from shortly after 6 p.m. until 10:30 p.m., the German Air Force carried out one of the most devastating fire-raising raids of the war. Continuously for 4.5 hours, their main target was an area particularly vulnerable to fire, the City of London, an area that has often taxed the considerable resources of the London Fire Brigade, even in peacetime. These scenes, reminiscent of the Great Fire of London nearly 3 centuries ago, were taken from the roof of St. Paul's. They embraced the area from St. Paul's Churchyard to Newgate Street, Paternoster Row, Ave Maria Lane, and the Stationers' Hall. Goering boasted that his Luftwaffe dropped 100,000 incendiary bombs on the city this night, besides loads of HE, and it may well be that this is one of the few of his boasts that is a true one. In fighting the fires, 16 firemen were killed, 11 by high explosive bombs and 5 by falling walls. The injured numbered over 250. Fighting the fires were no fewer than 1,500 appliances, including 100-foot steel water towers, pumps, hose lorries, water units, petrol wagons, and other special appliances. Every one of these appliances was controlled throughout the night and ordered to its correct destination by the Central Control Room, working in collaboration with its subsidiary district controls.
Message from the district control. A heavy incendiary bombing raid has occurred in the city area. Many large fires are in progress and rapidly spreading. All available appliances have been ordered out.
Order 50 pumps from the F to St. Paul's Churchyard, 50 pumps from the A to West Smithfield. Order report to control point, 100 pumps from the E to 60 station to stand by.
All available turntable ladders were ordered onto the fires, and throughout the night, these laddermen worked 100 feet above the street, among falling bombs and the intense heat rising from the burning buildings. One of the many historic buildings attacked was the parish church of St. Lawrence, Jewry, where a service is held just before the election of the Lord Mayor of London at the Guildhall. St. Bride's Church in Fleet Street, one of the most beautiful of Wren's masterpieces, suffered badly, and little more than the bare shell now remains. No water system yet devised will supply the quantity of water required to extinguish a conflagration of this size, and most of it had to be relayed from the River Thames up to a mile away. was made all the more difficult by the fact that it was dead low water at the time, and that the relaying crews had to get their hose ashore across the treacherous mud flats from fireboats lying in midstream. Hose-laying lorries, each carrying 6,000 feet of 3.5-inch hose, laid out relay lines at the rate of 20 miles per hour. The spread of fire through the narrow streets was helped by a strong southwest wind. With the tremendous draft caused by the fire itself, in places the flames raced down the street as fast as a man could run. The areas affected consisted mainly of shop and warehouse property, too small to come within the scope of the regulations enforcing a system of fire protection. Most of the buildings contained valuable stock, and they were securely locked and bolted, and only a few had caretakers on duty to deal with fires in their early stages or to open up the heavy doors to the firemen. Space in the city had been so valuable in past years that small courtyards at the back of many warehouses had been roofed with glass and filled with inflammable material that made them fatally easy targets for incendiary bombs. As well as the raging inferno you see here now, nearly 1,500 other fires were dealt with in London alone on this same night. Radiated heat from the burning streets threatened important buildings on the edge of the fire area and started many incipient fires in the window frames and other vulnerable places, making it necessary to put up water curtains to protect them and stop the spread of the fire. Streets such as these, firemen emerged with hands and faces so badly scorched and burned that several skin grafting operations were necessary. The appliances at the fires were directed and coordinated by mobile control vans which kept in touch with the control room by dispatch riders, who did invaluable work after telephone communications had been damaged. When one of these ladders received a direct hit from a high explosive bomb, the upper extension broke away and lodged on the roof. The only survivor of the crew of 3 was the man at the top, although he was very severely injured. Throughout the night, firemen fought the fires, hoping that one day the Royal Air Force would bring similar conflagrations to German cities. Fires were also raging across the river in Southwark, or as it is usually called, the Borough, the large industrial district of warehouses, wharves and factories, adding more fuel to the all-engulfing fire. In spite of the great shortage of water and the high wind, the fire was confined to the buildings you see here. A fierce, cutting wind caused streams of sparks to fly among the fighters, and dense volumes of acrid smoke almost choked them. There were over 100 cases of conjunctivitis and other eye injuries that needed urgent treatment. Blazing gas mains, which must not be extinguished because of the danger of explosion from unignited gas collecting in basements, caused further problems and necessitated protection for the buildings adjoining the craters. The mains in this area normally give a pressure of over 40 pounds and supply enough water for several powerful fire engines. But on this fateful night, the trunk main had been fractured by a high explosive, and the tremendous amount of water drawn off for other fires left nothing but feeble jets. Here again, a lot of valuable time was taken up in relaying water from the Thames and other static sources. In the damaged streets, pitted with new craters and blocked by debris, some appliances came to grief before reaching their allotted destination. Vital water mains were blasted by high explosives, and thousands of sprinklers and drenchers, powerless to check the flames, wasted water which turned into steam almost as soon as it was ejected from the sprinkler head. The fire was stopped at the Old Bailey. By morning, every fire was in hand, though the streets affected presented a scene of tragic desolation. The magnitude of the task confronting the fire service can be gauged by the fact that if all the pumps engaged had been able to work to full capacity, not less than 600,000 gallons of water per minute would have been required. The Guildhall, with its fine banqueting chambers and frescoed walls, was severely damaged, and the nearby church of St. Lawrence, Jewry, was almost destroyed. White Cross Street in the city was a veritable death trap. Debris was everywhere. Both ends of the street were blocked, the water mains were empty, and the appliances had to be abandoned. The men had to make their getaway over the railway bridge, and there were many narrow escapes. Thousands of lengths of hose must be collected, cleaned, dried, and restowed on the appliances, ready for the raid which may follow tonight. The night of this great fire was a time of severe trial for the men of the fire service. The brigade pays tribute to their work and mourns the loss of so many of its comrades. Goodbye, firemen. We will finish the job for you. However many of our stations are bombed and broken up, our spirit will never be broken. Look out, Hitler. We saved the Old Bailey that night.